Hello, good afternoon, everybody. So my name is Steve Allcock from Elistair, and I'm going to spend the next 15 minutes or so telling you how we can protect public events using tethered drones. But before we do so, I should probably explain what a tethered drone is, because it's quite a niche concept. So to let me do that, I've got a video which will explain. So that was exciting, wasn't it? So probably the first question everyone has is, why is there a tether on that drone? Why is it attached to the ground? I'm going to explain why now. So the tether allows us to power the drone indefinitely. So whilst normal drones are limited to a single battery, about 20-25 minutes, the tether allows us to send energy to the drone indefinitely. So we can fly for 24 hours non-stop. Obviously, that then allows us to provide surveillance of an area indefinitely without having to land the drone and lose coverage for that period of time it takes to change the battery. So we have uninterrupted flight time. Along with that also, we can send data through the tether, so we have secure communications with the drone. So there's no wireless communication, there's no radio frequency being sent to the drone either. It's a simple system, it's plug and fly, push button system, so easy to use by the operator. And it's a safe, reliable system. Because we're attached to the ground, the drone can't fly off and go into airspace, such as you may have seen for the Gatwick incident as well. So what can we do with the tethered drone then? Well, as protecting public events, we can also have persistent surveillance, protection of fixed sites, and also if we put a radio on the drone, we can then provide communications as well. So what does a tethered drone look like then? So on the left, we have our control station, which is hardwired to the tether station. The tether station not only provides power, but keeps the 100 meters of tether inside the tether station, and will automatically reel in or reel out the tether, depending on how high the drone is. And then finally, the drone itself. The drone has been designed to stay in the air for very long periods of time, not like a normal drone, which is only designed to fly for 15 minutes or so. So tethered drones for large public events is not a new thing. Obviously, there's been a pause over the last 12 months or so while the world has stopped. But since 2015, our tethered drones have provided security and surveillance events such as the Ryder Cup, the Champions League final in Spain, the Formula One in the UK, the NFL in America, and the MotoGP as well. And we've also been approved for the Paris 2024 Olympics as well. So you can see obviously the theme here is sporting events with the World Cup just around the corner here in Qatar. But also, not just public events like this, other events such as crowd control, if there's any kind of unrest as well, we can put the drone up to provide a stable security platform. So that's the tethered drone then. What is a tethered drone? Just to recap, it's a drone that is attached to the ground via a cable that's about 100 meters long. And the drone allows us to fly in a fixed position, but for very, very long periods of time. So how can we use this for a security event, for a solution like that? Well, what are the problems faced by the organizers of these events? Well, there's many, but I've focused on 4 to start with. The first one is the top left. Thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of people in the same place. So obviously we can have fixed cameras, but they can only go so high. They can't see over a massively wide area. And also all these people moving in and out, we want to make sure that it's a safe environment. We all know that large events are seen as a soft target for terrorist attacks, things like that. And also obviously in the world we live in now, we want to have a safe environment for our people to come and visit. Moving around the screen then, the other problem is the drone. The use of drones is intensified massively. We saw on the presentation before that there are lots of excellent anti-drone products out there. But that often means that we can't fly any drone in the area. So what we can do with a tethered drone is, because our data link is secure through the tether, and also the security of the drone, we know it can't fly away, we know it can't go into any area that may be sensitive. Often a tethered drone will get permission to fly in a no-go drone area. So that allows us to have the security team have their own drone in the air. They can use their own drone detection systems that they have operating in parallel, and then they can have the best of both worlds. Moving around the screen, bottom right, it's often overlooked, but to have large amounts of people means large amounts of cars. Where are we going to park them? How are we going to organize that? So again, a tethered drone can be put up for the duration of the flight, continuously, for the duration of the event, and can provide imagery can be sent to a control room, and then it can be used to organize this free flow of traffic out and into the event as well. And then finally, I've kind of alluded to it already, but on the left, we could be covering huge areas of real estate. So for the Ryder Cup, for example, it was several hundred hectares of real estate was being used. And then we could cover that with 2 tethered drones up 12 hours a day, and provide surveillance of the perimeter, the car parking, and also what was going on inside the event as well. So those are just some of the problems that are faced by event organizers. So what are the benefits of a tethered drone, and what does a tethered drone bring to the party? Well, we can use the height. I've already alluded to it already, but we can go up to 100 meters, 330 odd feet, and we can dominate the area out to 10 kilometers. We can see what's going on using the camera. So we have very high definition cameras, and we can use that to see what is going on, who is in our area, and what's happening around us. Areas that may not be covered by conventional CCTV, or may not be able to be patrolled, for example. Our foot patrol can only cover so much ground. I've already mentioned parking, but points of entry, obviously choke points. Because we can't fly the drone long distance, we can concentrate on points of entry to see who's coming in and who's going out, or if anything's going on. And if something happens in one of these areas, we can then make sure that the response team is sent to the right place. We can operate in sensitive areas due to the tether. So we've had these drones fly in airports, for example, whilst planes have been landing and taking off. And we got permission to do that by the relevant aviation authorities, because they know the drone cannot go further than the tether length. And that kind of moves on to the last point there. We often get permission to fly when we wouldn't be able to fly a drone normally. It's quick to deploy. So we can put up the question we often get is, well, I can put up a mast for the event. Well, we can, but it takes time to do so. And once the mast is in place, it's stuck there for the duration. With a tethered drone, we can put it up in less than 10 minutes. We can see what's going on at our event. And so if we take the example for a football stadium, we can move around the event if we need to as well. So we can fly for 2 or 3 hours at point A. We can land, pack up, 10 minutes later, we're deployed in another area as well. Really important, obviously, is that we can share that information. We can share the intelligence that's been gathered by the drone, and we can send it to a control room, like we can see top left. So that example was from the Super Bowl final in the US, where they had tens of thousands of people were attending the event, and we flew tethered drones from the rooftops of some skyscrapers in Atlanta, and stream that imagery directly to the police command control room. And also, if we're flying close to the public, often the safety limits for drones are quite strict, but we often get permission to fly a tethered drone close to the public because we know the drone cannot fly off and become a danger. So that's how we can do it. I'm now going to just talk about how we have done it before in the past to give you some examples. So the first one is the Ryder Cup. So Ryder Cup was in Paris a couple of years ago. A huge event covering lots of real estate, tens of thousands of people attending. So what happened then is we deployed 2 of these systems operated by the local police, by the Paris police, and we provided imagery over 4 days. So we flew up to 11 hours a day, every day for the event. And that imagery was shared with the central command point and allowed us to provide 3 services. The first one was to provide imagery of the entry points to see that who was coming in and who was coming out. The second was to make sure that the parking was smooth, the flow of vehicles was smooth, and that no vehicles were going where they shouldn't be. And the third one was to provide perimeter security during the event so that patrols could be sent to areas where there was an issue, rather than just sending people out to patrol aimlessly, hoping to find what was going on. So the drones that were deployed were the Orion drones, so these are Elistair drones. They had day and night capabilities using the infrared cameras as well, and were able to provide imagery continuously throughout the day. Continuing with the sporting event theme, this is the Super Bowl, I mentioned it earlier. So we're using a drone with a tether station at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Outside the stadium, there was already a CCTV network inside the stadium, but outside the stadium, they wanted an eye in the sky to basically see what was happening. So this was flown for 14 hours non-stop, okay? So 14 hours, continuous airborne imagery in both day and IR conditions. And it was flown from the roof of a building, so we had an even higher vantage point. Because we could fly helicopters, for example, provide with a camera to provide a similar capability. But helicopters are firstly noisy. Helicopters are limited to a couple of hours of flight time, and also helicopters are extremely expensive to fly. We're talking thousands of dollars per hour. To fly tethered drones is tens of dollars per hour. So the cost to operate one of these systems is less than any other options that are available on the market. And yeah, bottom right there, you can see the area that was covered outside the stadium. Finally, moving away from the sporting event, just to show a little difference, this was an air show. So we're operating inside an airfield with planes landing and taking off. So obviously drones were banned from this event. There was no way anyone was going to let a drone fly inside an airfield with planes flying. However, the tethered drone was allowed to fly because it was secure. It couldn't fly across the runway because it's attached to the ground by the tether. So that then allowed us to provide security of the event, very similar to what we've seen already. But also the addition here was that it was linked to the fire services, because if there was an aircraft accident or a crash, then they'll be able to beam directly imagery to the fire services to share that intelligence with them. So there we're bringing police, emergency services, fire service together, and the guys had iPads with the imagery coming in, so they were able to see what was happening. So that's just a couple of examples of how we could use a tethered drone to protect a public event. Just to recap then, so a tethered drone is a drone that's attached to the ground via a cable, which means we can't fly for long distances, but we can fly for long periods of time. And the reason we fly for long periods of time is that we provide a surveillance picture to the emergency services throughout that event that can be controlled via the pilot and sent to the control room so that the commanders can make the decision that they need to based on real-time intelligence. The reason it would be good for a sporting event is that we have masses of people and vehicles, obviously after COVID, will be coming into the area, and we want to protect them. We want to make sure that they come and enjoy the event and leave without an incident. I'll now take any questions you may have. I've got 10 minutes till the next event, so please ask any questions. The longer I can stay up here without a mask on, the better. So I'll take any questions now, please. Madam?
Do you say the length?
Sure.
Just 100 meters?
Up to 100 meters of tether, which is about 330 feet. So, and the reason is that we can only carry so much weight of tether. So 100 meters is our maximum height.
Alright.
What's the weight of the drone?
The what, sorry?
Weight.
The weight. So the weight of the drone is around 9 kilograms. So it's below the majority of for class 1 weight classes of UAVs.
Okay. Does that affect the speed? Does the weight affect the speed?
So the weight, sorry?
Does the weight affect
The weight of the drone completely, and obviously the tether becomes a weight as well. So depending on how high we are, we can add an extra 2 kilograms of weight at 100 meters. Per meter, around 20 grams. So obviously if you fly lower, you're carrying less weight, but the drone's been designed to carry that kind of weight.
So the range of vision would be...
Yeah, it depends on the camera, but out to 10 kilometers is a good indication by day in good weather conditions. With an infrared sensor, we're looking at 2 to 3 kilometers to detect a vehicle, and maybe 1 kilometer to detect a human being.
So you have embedded computing?
So we have our own embedded software that will control the drone and allow the camera operator to operate his system. In terms of additional software, we can take the raw video feed and we can push that through a third-party software for things like facial recognition, target tracking, things like that.
Okay. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Any more? Oh, fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope you found it interesting. For any more information, come and join us on stand G44. Thank you.